Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. The Three Kingdoms begins with the fusion of two devil fruits. Traveling through the Three Kingdoms, he has become the Huangjin Qushuai in Qingzhou, waiting for his head to be beheaded. The official seal that captured the county was transformed into two demonic fruits, merging into an animal series. The phantom beast species. In the form of Ju Mang, 1,000 trees for spring and no longer worrying about food and supplies. When capturing Qingzhou, the governor's official seal transformed into a random creation ability, creating metal to create an invincible heavy armor unit out of thin air. As each state was called the Qing Emperor, the Wood God, the Eastern God, Taihao, and the Heavenly Zhu Zhao, they conquered Zhu Zhao's ability has become increasingly terrifying, and his army is also so strong that it can push the world horizontally. Cao Cao was envious, because Zhu Zhao's harem not only had a group of beautiful women, but also had a lot of ambition to become Cao thieves. Liu Bei was desperate to the extreme, because no matter how hard he struggled, he could not obtain any hope of helping the Han family. Son Quan knelt down directly, offering incense and Luban all. This is a story about the Qing Emperor's struggle to dominate the Three Kingdoms and push the world horizontally. The main text is even more exciting. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Thought the Yellow Turban Hell would start, but who knows? You are listening at novelfull.audio. In 183 AD, the three brothers Zhang Jiao launched the Yellow Turban Rebellion, marking the official countdown of the Han dynasty. Is this the Three Kingdoms? Opening his eyes, Zhu Zhao felt a memory that appeared out of thin air, his expression became strange, and he quickly opened his pants to take a look. Fortunately, 18 centimeters are still there, wearing, P.S. The protagonist is wearing it. 1 second ago, Zhu Zhao was still editing science popularization videos of the Three Kingdoms in front of his computer, and the next second he traveled directly to the end of the Han dynasty and the Three Kingdoms. At this moment, it is the period of the Yellow Turban Rebellion, and it has already erupted for many days. The most important thing is that the predecessor was the bandit Chao from Gaotang County who colluded with the Yellow Turban Bandit. After killing Gaotang Ling, he raised a flag in response to the Yellow Turban. Now he is one of the leaders of Qingzhou Huangjin. The Yellow Turban Army, consisting of 50,000 refugees under its command, is now heading straight to Pingyuan County, preparing to seize the city and kill the prefect and governor to strengthen the power of the Yellow Turban. Is it just me, the otaku who fought against the 5 scumbags, waiting to be beheaded during the Han Rebellion? During the late Han dynasty, although the Yellow Turban Rebellion appeared to be massive, its military strength was not of the same level in front of the Luoyang Central Army. For example, under the command of Zhu Zhao, the 50,000 Yellow Turban Army, the Luoyang Central Army only needed 5,000 people to chop melons and vegetables, and generally collected them all. If the predecessor was kidnapped, perhaps there is still a chance to escape. Then he found Lu Guanzhang to work together and made meritorious contributions, but now he has no way out of the charge of killing Gao Tangling. Actively colluding with the Yellow Turban thief Zhu Zhao rode his only warhorse and led 50,000 Yellow Turban bandits forward in a mighty manner, but his heart was very distressed. Running away and then hiding one's name is not unacceptable. But they have all traveled through the late Han dynasty and the Three Kingdoms period, and before their journey, they were still the creators specializing in popularizing the history of the Three Kingdoms. It's better to be struck with a knife than to spend a lifetime in the most glorious page of Chinese history without a name. Stop playing, do whatever you like, wait for Huangfu Song and Lu Ji to come and behead. Zhu Zhao turned his head and glanced behind him. The yellow scarves, each with a pale and emaciated face, probably unable to even wield a hoe, felt even more helpless in his heart. Leading his troops forward, Zhu Zhao almost ignored everything and left Gaotang County. After crossing the Yellow River, he entered the area of Pingyuan County. Looking at Pingyuan City, Zhu Zhao didn't make any deployment arrangements, just let 50,000 yellow turban thieves use their lives to fill it and forcibly attack the city. In the evening, Zhu Zhao, who was sitting in the Pingyuan County government office, choked silently and captured another city. It was even better to die. Although the 50,000 yellow turban thieves are all restless refugees, it is precisely because of this that they become even crazier. Under the 50,000 yellow turban thieves who sacrificed their lives like machines to attack the city, the 1,000 volunteers recruited temporarily by Pingyuan County really couldn't hold on. Buzz. Just as Zhu Zhao picked up the official seal of Pingyuan Ling and played with it, thinking that if he brought this seal back to modern times, he should be able to sell it for 1.8 million yuan. The official seal of this plane was most directly melted into Zhu Zhao's hands, transforming into a golden treasure chest the size of a basketball. Sleeping trough, hanging. Zhu Zhao looked at the golden treasure chest in his hand, and a look of surprise rose in his eyes. Originally, Zhu Zhao had planned to show off, but the appearance of this cheat once again raised hope in Zhu Zhao's heart. Can Brother Gua still survive in the Three Kingdoms? Thinking of this, Zhu Zhao directly opened the golden treasure chest. With a flash of light passing by, a green fruit, resembling a small tree, appeared in Zhu Zhao's right hand. Inside the left hand is a green fruit that resembles being wrapped in bird wings. This is. Looking at the familiar appearance of the fruit, Zhu Zhao's heart was greatly shaken. Then, within Zhu Zhao's line of sight, information about the two fruits appeared on top of them. A natural system from the world of pirates that controls natural plants. Mori fruit. P.S. No side effects. A bird fruit from the world of pirates, capable of flying like birds. P.S. No side effects. Mori fruit. Zhu Zhao looked incredulously at the green demon fruit in his hand. Mori fruit can control plants, and similarly, it can directly create plants. And all the food is plants. Both the main staple foods of the Eastern Han Dynasty were millet and rice. Corn, potatoes, and other staple foods that can achieve a population explosion in later generations and truly prevent people from starving to death. These are all plants. And as long as Zhu Zhao eats the fruits of the forest, he can achieve an unlimited amount of explosive food. Whether it was the food eaten by his soldiers or the hay of his warhorses, Zhu Zhao was able to manufacture them out of thin air. Meat can also be used to create animal husbandry by producing grass, straw, and other materials for raising cattle, sheep, and livestock. As long as there is enough food, it is not difficult to pull up an army to fight against the Han Dynasty. Zhu Zhao looked at the forest fruit in his hand and raised the corner of his mouth in surprise. In the late Eastern Han Dynasty, due to natural and man-made disasters, it was unknown how many refugees would appear every year. And this is also one of the reasons why Zhang Jiao was able to pull up a total of 300,000 to 400,000 yellow turban soldiers. Zhang Jiao is just a prodigy who can rally so many farmers who cannot survive to rebel together. Isn't the food that Zhu Zhao could supply in unlimited quantities enough to make these starving Han people die for themselves? As for bird fruits, in the face of the adversity of the forest fruit, one is not worthy of having a name. Without further thought, Zhu Zhao swallowed both demon fruits in just a few bites. If there are no side effects, then there must be no fear of seawater, and there is no limit to eating only one pill. Then he closed his eyes and began to sense the power of the two demon fruits. After all the power of the devil fruit poured into his body, Zhu Zhao opened his eyes. However, a strange expression appeared in my eyes. Because, for some unknown reason, Mori fruit and bird fruit seemed to merge into a demon fruit. Originally an animal type, a natural type demon fruit, now has become an animal type. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Phantom Beast. Sentence Mang form. The Qing Emperor is here. You are listening at novel full.audio. Animal series. Phantom species. Ju Mang form. His emperor is Taihao, his divine words are shining. Ju Mang is the god of wood, spring, and the god of the east in Eastern mythology. Responsible for the sprouting of trees and the revival of all things. However, it still retains the ability of the mori fruit. And the original bird fruit was blessed to become a phantom beast species. Originally, Zhu Zhao did not attach much importance to the fruits of birds, and his physical fitness increased as much as possible, which can be ignored. But now, if Zhu Zhao wants to say that he is the top general in the three kingdoms, no one dares to oppose the increase in physical fitness caused by mythical beasts. Next, it's time to witness the ability of Ju Mang. Buzz. At this moment, Zhu Zhao activated Ju Mang's ability. Later, the ground in front of Zhu Zhao was squeezed open by a tender green rice seedling. The seedlings are then pulled up at a visible speed, flowering, and bearing ears, and then grow into golden yellow, with plump grains of rice hanging over the ears. You can declare invincible now. Zhu Zhao did not hesitate. Ju Mang's ability was once again activated, and a few breaths in the room were covered with golden rice. Great sage and virtuous master, let me tell you the truth. I am a descendant of the Fuxi family, the emperor of Miud. My name is Ju Mang. The journey of the Great Road is for the benefit of the world. Zhao Ming slays the rat, there is no name in the world. The Book of Songs. The Great Rat chapter putting the people first, achieving universal harmony. The sky is dead, the blue sky should stand. Behind Zhu Zhao, a pair of blue wings emerged, and powerful power flowed within his body. Thinking of the current yellow scarf is whispering one's future commitment. Zhangtian refers to the heavens, who are now the great Han. Huang Tian refers to Zhonghuang Tai, with the central Jun Tian commanding the four directions. Zhang Jiao's tone must be said to be quite loud. And Qing Tian is the eastern sky. Although the alternate name of heaven, it is the heaven of the human world, not so lofty, and also in harmony with one's own people. Oriented in universal harmony. And China, in the era of globalization in later generations, is not it called the East. I want to turn around and establish myself in the era of the late Han and Three Kingdoms, even though I have completely identified myself as a yellow scarf moth thief. The only opportunity is to resist the suppression of the Han official army. And in order to survive the campaign, I want to boost the morale of the Yellow Turban army and rally it around me. The Taiping Tao originally used superstition and preaching to incite the people of the great Han dynasty to rebel. And now I have true supernatural abilities that can make all the yellow scarf thieves eat their fill. As long as we establish a deified image of myself as a great and virtuous teacher on this basis, we will not have to worry about fighting against the Han government army in the late Han dynasty. Zhu Zhao's eyes flickered slightly, and he couldn't simply transform into a Buddha-like clear screen in the form of a sentence. But now that he has just eaten the fruit, it is obvious that Zhu Zhao does not have such ability. The intensity of manipulating plants is not high. The worldview here is that the late Han and Three Kingdoms were just an ordinary world, even with the addition of the Three Kingdoms romance worldview. The strongest LV Bu placed in the world of pirates may not even have 10 million Bailey. So, developing Ju Mang fruit is also very difficult. So, we need to make good use of this first opportunity to showcase our abilities. Zhu Zhao looked at the ripe rice in the room, detached it and automatically peeled it off. Bamboo strips are made out of thin air, and several bamboo baskets are made to pack rice. But Zhu Zhao was also watching this scene, pondering how to establish his deified image. Ju Mang, the god of the East. Zhu Zhao was the emperor of Miud at that time, also known as the Eastern Qing Emperor. Looking at the rice in each hand, Zhu Zhao also thought of his own plan. At noon, Zhu Zhao appeared in front of 50,000 golden thieves, along with the provisions of the literati in the plain city. Today, we have conquered Pingyuan City, making it one of the counties in Qingzhou. When I broke through the city today, I felt that I am not the general of the yellow sky. It's the Eastern Qing Emperor. Taihao. Emperor of Mud, spring god, wood god. Therefore, starting from today, everyone will turn yellow scarves into green scarves. In the future, we will no longer be the Yellow Turban Army, but the soldiers of Taihao, and we will be the Qing Emperor Army. Zhu Zhao looked calmly at the 50,000 Yellow Turban Army and spoke, his words spreading to everyone's ears due to the power of his words. Qing Emperor. It seems like a deity in the worship of heaven. The god of the East. Is Qushuai actually a deity? The 50,000 Yellow Turban Army had no suspicion at all. They looked at Zhu Zhao with suspicion, and their families were no exception. No wonder Zhang can pull up 400,000 yellow scarves. Zhu Zhao looked at a pair of skeptical eyes and sighed in his heart, but his actions were not delayed at all. Ordering the Yellow Turban Army to bring up baskets of corn, rice, and wheat flour, Zhu Zhao waved his hand and said, "As the Qing Emperor, I can lead the growth of all things. In the future, our food will not be in short supply. The food and supplies of the aristocratic families and families in this plain city are not many, but they are enough to feed our soldiers of the Qing Emperor Army and your relatives for 3 days. Starting from today's lunch, everyone has eaten dry food until they are full. I have gathered butchers and livestock from aristocratic families in the city. For each dry meal, everyone can receive a bowl of meat soup, with no less than 3 pieces of meat. And this kind of food, 3 meals a day. What? Surprisingly enough to eat dry rice. What's the matter with Qushuai? He used to drink rice porridge in Gaotang. Do you still have meat in the broth?" The Yellow Turban Army was boiling this time, and everyone looked excitedly at Zhu Zhao. The previously lifeless and completely disappeared completely clean. The Yellow Turban thieves, except for some who come from real bandit backgrounds, are mostly refugees and civilians who cannot survive. Hearing Zhu Zhao's words at this moment is equivalent to hearing the most wonderful words in the world. But there's one thing, everyone needs to do it as soon as possible after lunch. And Zhu Zhao, following his own plan, spoke up here. At the end of March in spring, it is already possible to sow. The vast majority of the grain and forage of aristocratic families have already been used for breeding. So, within today, you need to plant these seeds on all the farmland in the plain city. After only 1 day, the power of the Eastern Green Emperor will ripen these seeds and turn them into food. Can we turn seeds into food in just 1 day? Impossible, right? It takes several months for the grain to ripen. What Qushuai said is a bit false. How could the seeds ripen in 1 day? Zhu Zhao's words did not convince these peasant soldiers who came from the Yellow Turban Army again this time. Zhu Zhao said he was the Qing Emperor, and they could doubt his beliefs. After all, Zhang was also a Yellow Turban Army led by superstition. But if the seeds mature in 1 day, they will not easily believe in breaking the common knowledge of a few farmers in feudal society. Make a fire and cook rice. Zhu Zhao chuckled lightly, and what he wanted was this effect. At this moment, the more these Yellow Turban soldiers don't believe it, the more they will remember the golden rice waves in the fields the day after tomorrow. At that time, in the hearts of these 50,000 Yellow Turban Army and their relatives, Zhu Zhao was the true Eastern Green Emperor, the god of wood. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Seeds ripen overnight. The power of the Qing Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Huang Zhanjuan did not hesitate about Zhu Zhao's words, as the aroma of the rice wafted. Surprisingly, it's really cooking. When I used to farm my own land, I didn't dare to eat dry rice even though I had a good harvest, but today I actually eat it. Is this the taste of meat? If Qushuai can really make us eat like this, we will definitely die for him in the future. The rice and broth were quickly prepared. 50,000 yellow turban soldiers were eating dry rice and meat soup, all excited, and some even shed tears. And Zhu Zhao's management was not empty talk. The 50,000 yellow turban army, including their families, were all casually fed. Except for the limit of 1 bowl of broth per person, it's really satisfying. Zhu Zhao quietly watched one by one with excited expressions, extremely grateful and respectful as he looked at his yellow turban army, his mouth curling up. In fact, as long as they manage to have enough food, these yellow turban army can die for Zhu Zhao. But if we want to build the yellow turban army into a strong army, a certain degree of deification will play a crucial role. And deification, only waiting for the morning after tomorrow. Hurry up and plow the fields. We had so much lunch today, we can't let down Qushuai's heart. Guzi, plow out the land here quickly, the seeds are almost sown. Everyone, speed up. Qushuai said today that all the farmland in Pingyuan County will be planted with seeds. After eating lunch for almost an hour, all the yellow turban soldiers and their families were so full that they almost vomited before stopping. Zhu Zhao did not stop either. These yellow turban soldiers had been hungry countless times before, able to experience the happiness of being full, and Zhu Zhao didn't care if they would hold on anymore. After finishing lunch, all the yellow scarf thieves became extremely enthusiastic and started working with their families. Plowing, sowing, these things are truly in their hands, so the speed is very fast. 50,000 yellow turban army valued their families, totaling 150,000 people. Under their authority, they truly completed the sowing in half a day. And the dinner, which was still dry rice and broth, also made these yellow turban army more convinced of Zhu Zhao. They don't know any big principles. Having enough food and meat is the best truth they will believe and be willing to follow Zhu Zhao. On the second day of planting crops, the yellow turban army had nothing to do. Except for guarding within the plain city, others would run to the fields whenever they had nothing to do. Although they don't believe what Zhu Zhao said about the seeds maturing in one day. But in this era where entertainment activities are almost non-existent, people's curiosity still drives them to go and see. In the morning, seeds are still seeds. Lunch, eat well, take a look in the field, the seeds are still seeds. In the evening, still full of food, I took a final look in the field and saw that the seeds were still seeds. Does what Qushuai said seem to be false? Of course it's fake. If there really is someone in this world who can make seeds mature overnight, then it's a true deity. Hey, if Qushuai really is the reincarnation of the Qing Emperor, then we will definitely not worry about a bountiful harvest when we farm in the future. But now, it seems that Qushuai is not. If it's fake, then it's fake. In the future, we'll follow the rebels and eat the food of those aristocratic families. A group of yellow scarf thieves couldn't help but discuss before going to bed, but everyone had completely given up. There are no gods in this world, and there are no seeds that mature overnight. Ha ha ha, that Qushuai from the yellow turban moth thief is really losing his heart and going crazy. If you really say you're too talented, then you're really. In Pingyuan County, within the fortress of aristocratic families, Hua Xian of the Gaotang Huashur sneered and spoke up. His Emperor Taihao, his divine sentence Mang, is the god of the East. Zhu Zhaoding, who became the god of wood due to Muda, wanted to use such a deceptive method to persuade moth thieves to support him and fight against the Han dynasty. The plain man Ni Heng opened his mouth and gave a cold laugh. Just a moth thief. Although he knows how to buy people's hearts, with such a speed of squandering food and grass, he should go to Jizhou in 2 or 3 days. On the side, Wang Lai, who grew up in the plain from a young age in Taiyuan, spoke calmly and said. The yellow turban thief plotted rebellion and did not cause much harm to the aristocratic family, only losing some food and supplies. After leaving, the plain remains their territory. Qushuai, will those seeds really mature tomorrow? At this moment, Zhu Zhao is sitting inside the government office, adjusting his own state. The Deputy General Li Hong beside him looked at Zhu Zhao with great concern and asked. Why not? Zhu Zhao opened his eyes and chuckled lightly, saying, I am the Qing Emperor, who controls 10,000 trees independently. Just wait for you to get up and take a look tomorrow, and the seeds must have become golden rice fields, millet fields, and wheat fields, Qushuai. Li Hong looked at Zhu Zhao and hesitated to speak. Are you saying that most of the food and supplies of aristocratic families in Pingyuan City are stored in the fortress, and our food and supplies can only last for one day at most? Zhu Zhao spoke lightly, naturally aware of what Li Hong was worried about. Qushuai, tomorrow we won't be able to eat dry food anymore. Perhaps the food and forage in the plain city can still support us in capturing the next city. Li Hong gave a word of persuasion and said with an extremely serious expression. Haha, please wait until tomorrow morning when you wake up and watch. Zhu Zhao patted Li Hong's shoulder and then asked him to go back to rest. Today, how much disappointment and disbelief there is. Tomorrow, how firmly do you believe that I am the Qing Emperor and the reincarnation of the Eastern God in the bento box? Zhu Zhao chuckled lightly, extinguished the lights in the room, and then directly displayed the wings of Ju Mang, flying towards the sky through the back door. Everything is reviving. At midnight, the entire Plain County fell asleep with different thoughts. And in the darkness, Zhu Zhao soared through the sky, strands of green light enveloping the farmland below. At this moment, seeds break through their shells at a speed visible to the naked eye. The tender white buds grow vigorously and quickly become lush green seedlings. The main stem of the seedlings began to become thick and sturdy, and then small flowers grew out one after another, pollinating with the swaying of the Daohe. White and yellow small flowers quickly wither, and then grains of rice, millet, and wheat grow. Finally, the blue Daohe and rice ears all turned golden yellow. Grain by grain of rice and millet hung on top of it, causing the pole to bend down. Zhu Zhao looked quietly at the golden rice fields under the night, with a raised corner of his mouth. Tomorrow, I will be the Qing Emperor. In the early morning, as some members of the Yellow Turban Army got up early, they habitually came to the rice fields to defecate, urinate, and fertilize. The one that was about to come out was scared back by the golden wheat waves under the dawn in front of me. Mature. Ripe. It's really cooked. Qushuai is really the Qing Emperor. The yellow scarf thief shouted loudly, and then, regardless of what he was here for, he started shouting for people to stand up and see the miracle one by one in the tents. Ripe. The seeds are really ripe. It's really just that these seeds matured overnight. This is the god of wood, the god of spring has descended a sweet rain, allowing the seeds to ripen overnight. The Qing Emperor is still alive, and we are following the gods. The Qing Emperor is above, please accept the worship of the humble Hiyuzhu. The Yellow Turban Army woke up, and even the defenders inside the city climbed up the city wall to watch due to the noise. Then, looking at the golden rice fields, they all knelt down devoutly towards the plain city government office and began to kowtow 3 times. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Training. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How could this be possible? Within the fortress of the aristocratic family, Hua Xian looked at the golden rice fields in Pingyuan County and was shocked to the point where she lost her ability to think. Is it really the power of the Qing Emperor? Wang Lai looked at the golden rice field with disbelief and confusion. How could it be that the rice fields that were still seeds last night have all become wheat fields early today? Is it true that the Han dynasty will be replaced by Zhu Zhao, as the current Emperor Taihao is still in power? Famous scholars from Pingyuan County such as Ni Heng, Tao Qiuhong, and Wei Xiao couldn't believe that there would really be a miracle of the Qing Emperor in the world. Just one morning, the voice of the Qing Emperor living echoed through the plain city. Zhu Zhao, on the other hand, sat upright at the Pingyuan prefectural office, with a shallow curve rising at the corner of his mouth. After today, the 50,000 Yellow Turban army has the potential to become a strong army in the world. And before he developed the transcendent power of Ju Mang, Zhu Zhao also had the ability to break his wrist with a big man. At the end of March this spring, more than a month has passed since the uprising, and it is inevitable that the officers and soldiers of the Great Han will arrive. Therefore, starting from today, all soldiers will begin training. And your training is also very simple. After the seeds matured overnight, these 50,000 yellow scarves completely convinced Zhu Zhao. In the eyes of everyone looking at Zhu Zhao, there was an unprecedented level of piety and reverence. Even if Zhu Zhao didn't do what he didn't do to give them dry rice and meat soup in the past few days, he was able to complete it overnight. Obey the order of Emperor Qing. 50,000 soldiers with yellow scarves shouted loudly, their eyes filled with respect, and no one hesitated. Okay, from today on, we will be renamed as Taihao Ruishi, the army of the Qing Emperor. Zhu Zhao nodded with a light smile and then shouted loudly. Everyone, look to the left now to make sure you're all tied up neatly. Zhu Zhao spoke in the simplest language and then waved a flag in his hand, asking everyone to take note seriously. Taihao Ruishi had nothing incomprehensible about this command and quickly lined up in a straight line. Then, the first person on the left in the front row remained motionless, while the others raised their left arm and stopped one arm away. Zhu Zhao continued to give orders, waving the command flag in his hand. This command is not difficult, and the first row of Taihao Ruishi quickly completed Zhu Zhao's arrangement. Everyone else, look forward and line up neatly. Zhu Zhao continued to order the flag to be waved. Taihao Ruishi followed suit and naturally understood such simple commands. Of course, the most important thing is to have 2 days of dry rice and meat soup, and they have regained their vitality. And with the blessing of the Eastern God in front of Zhu Zhaoqing, who is still alive, his enthusiasm is extremely high, and his completion rate is very high. Turn left. Zhu Zhao continued to wave the flag to the left, and Taihao Ruishi also turned in this direction. Turn left. Later, Zhu Zhao waved the command flag again and gave the order, which remained the simplest command. From breakfast until lunchtime, Zhu Zhao's training has always been turning left, right, and so on. A more complex one is to take 1 step forward and 1 step backward. The significance of doing this is to enable these yellow scarf thieves from rural backgrounds to learn the flag recognition action in the shortest possible time. In ancient times, this was the difference between rural heroes, ordinary people, and true soldiers. There is no need to worry about the morale of these 50,000 people today. As long as Zhu Zhao is still alive, their morale will not collapse. And this is the most difficult ability for a strong army to acquire. Why can Han Xian be called a soldier immortal? It is the ability to easily pull 50,000 people out, and then quickly equip these people with resilience that will not easily collapse, and then carry out various outrageous operations. Backwater battles sound like inspiring combat power in a desperate situation. But in fact, no matter what army, the greatest possibility in a desperate situation is direct defeat and surrender. However, Han Xian can easily attract a group of people and feign defeat to lure the enemy into a fight. If it were someone else, if you dared to feign defeat, the army would dare to show you a real defeat, even if you had received preventive shots in advance. That's why Han Xian is revered as a military immortal and is unique in the military field. Many of Han Xian's battles are meant to give people a kind of, how the hell did you do the immortal battles? Now, under the name of Emperor Zhu Zhaoqing, military morale are maintained. As long as Zhu Zhao does not die, Taihao Ruishi will not lose their morale. In this way, Zhu Zhao can also play some tactics that others cannot do, just like Han Xian. So, Zhu Zhao is now training the basic literacy of 50,000 Taihao Ruishi to follow orders and prohibitions, and to follow the flag. It is not wrong that the Northern Army's fifth colonel of the Great Han Dynasty is very strong. But in front of 50,000 Taihao Ruishi who have orders and prohibitions, you can't take advantage. A military can be called a qualified army if it can do whatever the commander orders. Then it is the physique, military equipment, and other factors that determine whether it is a top-tier unit. Of course, there are also spiritual influences, such as iron-blooded willpower, military merit system crazy decapitation, and other buffs. Zhu Zhao's physique and military equipment cannot be changed in a short period of time. But with the training of future generations, it is enough for all the heroes to follow the command flag and turn the refugee army into a qualified army. Because Taihao Ruishi has a layer of buff. They are the army under the command of the Eastern god Qing Emperor. In ancient times, this buff was truly able to make these ordinary people fight to the death without retreating. So, in the following days, Zhu Zhao will train Taihao Ruishi using the simplest methods such as standing in line, kicking, and walking in unison. 1 day, 2 days, 7 days passed in an instant, and Zhu Zhao really didn't add any training content. But it was only in this short 7 days that 50,000 Taihao Ruishi had undergone a complete transformation. Zhu Zhao only needed to wave the command flag, and the military commander, Shi Chang, and others immediately led their soldiers to move. It only takes 10 breaths to form a neat military formation from a scattered 50,000 people who have just finished their meal. Orders such as standing at attention, turning around, and walking in unison can also be completed instantly. Unbelievable, Lord Qingdi is truly a divine being. Li Hong, the deputy general of Zhu Zhao, looked at the neatly ordered army in front of him, his eyes filled with shock. 10 days ago, these 50,000 people were still a group of refugees who couldn't survive. Don't say it's a flag of recognition. It's about pulling 10 people out and having them stand in a neat row, and they can all form a Z shape for you. And now, Zhu Zhao commands 50,000 people. 50,000 people. At the moment the flag moves, it can be formed into a neat army formation. Such a terrifying scene, Li Hong, who comes from a military background and knows some combat knowledge, was directly stunned. How could this be possible? And as Hua Xian, Wang Lai, and others watched this scene in the hidden corner of the school field, their mouths grew unbelievably wide. Since ancient times, apart from a peerless general like Han Xian, no one has been able to train such an elite soldier in 7 days. 10 days ago, these moth thieves were still starving refugees. Now, in just 7 days, they can comply with orders and prohibitions. Hua Xian looked at Taihao Ruishi with a trembling tone, her eyes filled with disbelief. If Zhu Zhao continues to grow, wouldn't he be able to attract hundreds of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of well-trained yellow scarf moth thieves? Wang Lai spoke in shock, feeling a tingling sensation on his scalp. The most important thing is that this group of moth thieves is different from the horned yellow scarf thieves. Zhang Jiao's path of peace is nothing but deceiving some ignorant mudlegs. And this Zhu Zhao has truly achieved what we can't even understand, allowing the seeds to ripen overnight. Tao Qilhong spoke in a deep voice, extremely serious and worried, saying, "These moth thieves now truly regard them as the Qing Emperor, the god of the East. This kind of army has an extraordinary military spirit and morale. If we let it grow stronger, there is really a risk of overthrowing the Han Dynasty." Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Fish Scale Vine Armor, a harder white substance than metal. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Not bad. Unlike those famous scholars on the plain, Zhu Zhao looked at his training results and raised his lips. Subsequently, 5 more military marquis who had been promoted these days and had the fastest learning speed, each commanding tens of thousands of people, were summoned. Lord Qingdi. 5 people approached Zhu Zhao and bowed, their eyes becoming firm and agile. Starting from today, lead Taihao Ruishi to start refining Taihao Ruishi's physique according to the training method I have given you. Nowadays, the official army of the Great Han Dynasty has begun to suppress the Yellow Turban bandits, with Zhu Gui to the south and Liu Bei to the north. And the land of Yanzhou and Qingzhou will face the famous General Huangfu Gui's clan member Huangfu Song. Before May, there will be an increase in the supply of food and meat, and I hope to see Taihao Ruishi become stronger in a month. Do you understand? Zhu Zhao spoke and looked at the five of them with an extremely serious expression. Nowadays, although the three heroes of the late Han Dynasty all led their troops to march, they were defeated in consecutive battles in April due to their disregard for the enemy. It was not until May that the counterattack officially began, and it was quelled in November. And this spring April is Zhu Zhao's last time. No problem, everyone is a man who shaves and eats in the ground. Their physique is not weak, and if they have meat to eat, they can definitely get stronger in a month. Li Hong spoke on the side with a determined tone. In fact, it is necessary to have enough food to ensure that these 50,000 talented warriors can directly pursue the Luoyang Northern Army in terms of physique. After all, the current fire situation of the Northern Army may not necessarily be better than that of Taihao Ruishi. Nowadays, these 50,000 people have meat every meal, and each person must have a river fish every meal. With this meal, if there is 1 year, Li Hong dares to guarantee that he will physically kill the Northern Army of Luoyang. In that case, I will solve the issue of military readiness. Zhu Zhao nodded and the corner of his mouth curved. The difficulty for the rebels to obtain weapons such as armor and crossbows is indeed a problem that is difficult to solve in a short period of time. But Zhu Zhao can use vine armor. Will defense, lightness, and even surpassing the fish scale armor of the Northern Army in Luoyang. Just a fatal flaw in fear of fire. But Zhu Zhaoda can accelerate the condensation of water vapor on trees with the fruit of Ju Mang, and then let the sun evaporate it, accelerating or even promoting rain. In rainy weather, the vine armor cannot burn anymore. And weapons are simpler. Wood may not necessarily be inferior to metal. Iron wood, African acacia, white hardwood, and other types of wood are all equally hard as metals. And the hardness of the white hardwood is known as the axe terminator. It is almost impossible to cut down with an axe. Like nailing a steel nail into a white hardwood, it's like asking for trouble on your own. Make long spears and spears with white solid wood, and then melt all the iron into the spearhead and spearhead. So, the weapons under the combined governance of these two can be called divine weapons. Then, all the excess metal is melted and cast into melee weapons such as ringhead swords. Assembling 50,000 people, the reserves of the military arsenal in Pingyuan County are still sufficient. Thinking of a solution, Zhu Zhao immediately began to gather weapons from the arsenal of various counties in Pingyuan County. The obtained armor is mostly armor with skin damage that is not visible, and weapons with blunt blades. But Zhu Zhao was not picky, because all the blacksmiths from Pingyuan County were brought along with these armories. Even if it was an apprentice, Zhu Zhao summoned them all. All armor and weapons have been remelted. And as long as it comes with iron, and not all iron tools other than plowing tools are collected. But at the end of April, all the iron was melted and cast into gun heads and ring head knives, and the quantity was still nearly half. Your Highness, the number of spearheads and spearheads has exceeded 20,000, which is enough to build a long spearman. But the number of ring head knives is completely insufficient. Now all the iron is used up, but there are only 7,000 ring head knives. Li Hong came to report the result, his eyes filled with helplessness. The arsenal and the iron tools in this city are not big heads after all. Zhu Zhao frowned and spoke, then looked at Li Hong and said. Summon all the Taihao Ruishi, distribute weapons today, and after 3 days of training, prepare to attack the fortresses of those aristocratic families. Wherever, the quantity of iron tools must be all the weapons that I cast for Wu Taihao Ruishi. If you're lucky enough, perhaps you can still gather a few thousand crossbowmen. This And this time, Li Hong hesitated and whispered. Wu Bao is the bottom line of the aristocratic family. If we invade it, it will surely make the aristocratic family like frightened birds. At that time, Huangfu Song, who attacked Yanzhou Huangjin, may come directly to Pingyuan City and treat us as the primary target for elimination. The Yellow Turban Uprising allows them to attack and plunder the city. But no matter what, we must not touch the fortress of the aristocratic family. As long as you dare to touch it, it will become a target of public criticism. Who is not a nobleman from a noble family within the Luoyang court? At that time, Zhu Zhao, the yellow turban thief who will threaten the survival of their clan, may even become the first bandit to be eliminated with the Zhang Jiao brothers. What are you afraid of? Zhang Jiaomo's rebellion was already fueled by aristocratic families and powerful families. Otherwise, the yellow turban moth thieves swept through these 7 states and 20.8 counties may not be noticed by those aristocratic families and aristocrats. Zhu Zhao shook his head and said indifferently. Did the Han Emperor agree to any conditions when he knew that Huangfu Song and the aristocratic family had sent troops? Release the party's imprisonment. After Emperor Han agreed, the 3 members of Huangfu Song and the aristocratic families mobilized and began to comprehensively defeat Huangjin. Now that their goal has been achieved, it is impossible to allow us, the Yellow Turban, to survive, which is eye-catching. So, whether it's vertical or horizontal, it's better to take a fight and then find an opportunity to occupy a territory and directly divide the territory. What did Huangfu Song say to Emperor Ling of Han before his expedition? The party has been imprisoned for a long time, and if they conspire with the Yellow Turban, regret is hopeless. Is this a reminder? This is a blatant threat, damn it. Huangfu Song was telling Lu Hong that if the party's imprisonment is not lifted, there may be more than just refugees and civilians plotting rebellion. They, who are confined by the party, may also be involved in rebellion. Emperor Ling of Han, Lu Hong, naturally did not dare to rely on others and immediately lifted the party ties. Later, the Manchu court officials donated war horses, bows and crossbows, and Emperor Ling of Han. If there were no traces of aristocratic families and aristocrats behind the yellow scarf, Zhu Zhao would not believe it. So, after the aristocratic families achieved their goals, the army that suppressed the rebellion was no longer just for fun. In this way, only being strong oneself is the way to survive. I understand. Li Hong remained silent for a moment, then understood Zhu Zhao's meaning and immediately turned around to summon Taihao Ruishi. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. White Scaled Vine Armor, Strong White Spear. The armor rate is 100%. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The production of rattan shells takes time, but as the saying goes, mango is something that can only be achieved over time, and I can accomplish it in an instant. Zhu Zhao's eyes flickered slightly as he walked alone into the arsenal of Pingyuan City, where the power of Ju Mang emerged. Then, one vine after another appeared in front of Zhu Zhao, and all of them flowed into the nearby bucket like snakes. Suck. Zhu Zhao urged the power of Ju Mang to accelerate the absorption speed of the vine when soaked. Then draw it out and directly dissipate the excess water inside. Finally, drops of tung oil emerged, enveloping the vines. Zhu Zhao also continued to repeat his absorption rate when soaked in oil. Finally, tough vines were woven out of thin air. Helmets, armor, skirts, etc. were all woven within half an hour. Originally soaked in water for half a month, and soaked in oil for over a year, there are now 50,000 neatly arranged rattan shells in the arsenal. But Zhu Zhao did not stop. Small fibers appeared one by one, and then one by one, like fish scales, only white sturdy with the size of a fingernail appeared out of thin air. Under the weaving of fibers, a layer of rattan armor was wrapped again. The white solid wood, which adults can't even chop with an axe, is wrapped in rattan armor as fish scale armor. Its defense ability will definitely not be inferior to the iron fish scale armor of the Northern Army in Luoyang. And the heart, head, and neck are all wrapped in a whole piece of white sturdy wood. When facing a piercing blow, the white sturdy wood, which cannot penetrate even the steel nails, is definitely harder than the most luxurious shining armor. Besides being afraid of fire and needing time to dry after being exposed to rain, it is definitely more defensive than fish scales. Zhu Zhao picked up a pair of white scale vine armor, feeling its lighter weight than fish scale armor, and raised the corner of his mouth. As long as we fight on rainy days, this white scale vine armor is definitely stronger than the fish scale armor of the Northern Army in Luoyang. Then, there are weapons. Zhu Zhao once again made long white wooden poles, and then directly wrapped the spearheads tightly around them. 20,000 solid white guns were completed, with sharp spearheads paired with hard barrels. When stabbing, chopping, and charging, one can definitely surpass the strongest army of the Han dynasty, the Northern Army of Luoyang, in terms of military readiness. 20,000 spears and spears, 7,000 ring-headed swords. Zhu Zhao looked at the weapons in the arsenal and made 7,000 round shields the size of pot lids out of white sturdy wood. The ringhead knife is paired with a round shield of white sturdy wood. These 7,000 Taihao Ruishi soldiers were able to maintain their military strength without losing to the Northern Army during frontal combat. The big shield hand is in front and can resist the arrows of the bow and crossbow. Zhu Zhao once again made 10,000 pairs of large square shields measuring 1.7 meters high from white solid wood. In every battle, using a large shield hand to defend against crossbows can make up for the deficiency of Taihao Ruishi who now lacks crossbow hands. If you don't have a sharp blade for now, then use a blunt tool. Finally, Zhu Zhao made 2 pairs of white sturdy wooden short-handled hammers for the 10,000 shield hands, each with raised spikes on its head. Under the impact of blunt force, these wooden spikes can also cause terrifying killing power. And then there are the remaining 13,000 people. After much thought, Zhu Zhao ultimately assembled them into short infantry melee with a round shield and a short-handled hammer. The killing power of a long-handled hammer may indeed be even stronger than those iron spears and spears. But it's not easy to play on the battlefield, so a short-handled hammer is clearly a better choice. Of course, this is also the only strategy taken in the current predicament of insufficient military equipment. With a force of 50,000 and complete military equipment, even a direct confrontation with the Northern Army led by Huangfu Song and Liu Ji would have the power to fight. Zhu Zhao looked at the complete equipment of the 50,000 Taihao Ruishi, and a confident smile appeared on his lips. As long as it's rainy, Zhu Zhao has a good chance of deposing the Northern Army. Your Highness, the Grand Emperor, the gathering of the Grand Heroes has arrived. At this moment, Li Hong's voice rang out. Zhu Zhao raised the corner of his mouth and then directly opened the door of the arsenal, smiling. Nowadays, our iron tools are insufficient, so I followed the example of the southern barbarians in Izhou, using vines as armor. In addition to fearing fire attacks, vine armor is more lightweight and has no weak defense. 2 people, take a pair of rattan armor, a sturdy white spear, and a ring-headed sword. Zhu Zhao's words made 50,000 talented soldiers very curious, and the 2 military lords directly brought a pair of Tingjia and Jianbai spear, as well as a pair of Jianbai round shield and a large shield each. Wear the grassman's white scaled vine armor, and have another Hercules. Let's also see if this wooden armor is strong enough for defense. Zhu Zhao smiled lightly and spoke up, in order to make Taihao Ruishi believe in the strength of white scale vine armor and others during the battle, it was absolutely necessary to display it in public. I'll do it. A tall man with incredibly thick arms walked out, one of the 5 military marquises. Named Cui Xiao, carrying divine power. Later, the marquis brought a ring-headed sword and stood 10 meters away from the grass man. Drink. Taking 2 deep breaths, he roared and charged directly towards the grassman, then slashed onto the grassman protected by the white-scaled vine armor. Click. The wooden stake that fixed the grassman broke directly, and the grassman flew out more than 10 meters, making Taihao Ruishi couldn't help but cheer loudly. Cui Xiao, go and see the white-scale vine armor. But Zhu Zhao raised his hand and pressed down, his expression remained incredibly calm. Your Highness, the vine armor's defense should be good, but it may not be able to withstand my divine power. Cui Xiao laughed and walked towards the grassman, but when he picked up the grassman and saw the white-scale vine armor on it, his voice suddenly stopped. What did he see? The divine power that I am proud of, with all my might, struck this wooden armor with a single slash, leaving no trace of a knife mark. The white sturdy wood, like fish scales, is still intact at this moment. Impossible, how could the wood have been cut with a knife without any trace? Cui Zhao's incredulous speech was not because he questioned Zhu Zhao, but because this matter really exceeded his comprehension ability. Did you really leave no trace? In an instant, Li Hong and the other 4 military lords immediately gathered in front of the white-scaled vine armor. Then, what they saw was the intact white-scale vine armor, which really didn't even have any knife marks. How could this be? Cui Zhao's power is really not a joke. Even the real iron fish scale armor, Cui Xiao, could probably cut it off with one knife, but this wooden one is so amazing. This is not ordinary wood, it's simply divine wood. Li Hong, the 4 military lords all looked at Zhu Zhao, their eyes continuing to show admiration. Continue to try the sprint. Zhu Zhao pointed to his heart and smiled again as he spoke. Li Hong and others were stunned for a moment, then looked at the 50,000 pairs of rattan armor and a shield made of white and sturdy wood, and their hearts became extremely fanatical. Break it for me. Quickly, Cui Xiao was in charge of testing, holding a sturdy white gun in his hand, aiming at his heart and sprinting directly. Buzz. But as the sturdy white gun curved into a huge arc, the entire piece of white sturdy wood's protective goggles only left a small white dot-like mark. Hiss. This time, Li Hong was so shocked that he trembled all over. He comes from a military background and has also seen the fish-scale armor of the Northern Army in Luoyang. But even if the fish-scale armor of the Northern Army in Luoyang were to face Cui Zhao's sprint and attack head-on, it would definitely be chilling. But this wooden white-scale vine armor completely blocked Cui Zhao's piercing strike. Later, the test results of the strong white round shield and the strong white giant shield were the same. The hardness of the white hardwood is worthy of the title of Axe Terminator. You should know, the axe here is an alloy two-handed axe from the 21st century. True divine wood. Li Hong couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the test results. The Qing Emperor is truly the god of wood. He possesses the divine wood to strengthen his army. What a divine demeanor. Taihao Ruishi, wear armor. Zhu Zhao laughed and shouted, then pointed outside the plain city and said indifferently. The fortresses of those aristocratic families have provisions, iron tools, war horses, cattle and sheep. Conquer their fortress, and when the whole army switches to iron weapons, we will advance eastward. When we reach the east, even the northern army of the Han dynasty in Luoyang has arrived, and I can lead you to defeat them. Qing Emperor. Qing Emperor. The god of the east. Taihao Ruishi is all fanatical in their hearts, and everyone can't wait to start wearing white-scale vine armor. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. The first battle of Taihao Ruishi, with a crushing force breaking through. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Taihao Ruishi, gather. Zhu Zhao let out a loud shout and waved the command flag in his hand. Taihao Ruishi was silent, but he quickly formed an army formation, and then his eyes resolutely turned to Zhu Zhao. 50,000 pairs of white-scale vine armor are all neatly dressed, with 20,000 large shield hands in front, hammer-shield soldiers and knife-shield soldiers on both sides, and gunmen in the middle and rear. Target Plains Lu, Plains King's Fortress. Zhu Zhao looked at 50,000 talented individuals, and a faint smile rose in his eyes. Not to mention sweeping across the Han dynasty, no one should be able to stop the footsteps of Taihao Ruishi in the aristocratic families of Pingyuanjun and Qingzhou. Kill. Taihao Ruishi is not an ordinary person who has never killed anyone and has seen blood. Isn't this Plain County what they attacked? So, at this moment, they have a kind of iron-blooded will. Zhu Zhao chuckled lightly, then flipped over and mounted his horse, taking 50,000 Taihao Ruishi towards the only fortress outside the plain city. Is the moth thief here? Upon hearing this news, Lu Ziping, the king of the plain within this fortress, his expression changed slightly. They defended against danger and built a fortress. But after seeing the orders and prohibitions of 50,000 Taihao Ruishi, Lu Ziping and Hua Xian and others were filled with fear. Although Zhu Zhao is still a moth thief, this 50,000 yellow turban army has become a true army. Let's go to the Wubao pavilion. Lu Ziping spoke up and immediately ran towards the pavilion in Wubao. Hua Xian, Tao Qiuhong, Ni Hein, Wang Lai and others all rushed over, and then looked extremely solemn at Zhu Zhao, who had only brought Li Hong and Cui Xiao outside the fortress. Are you going to open the fortress yourself and present the provisions and supplies, or should I go and collect them myself? Zhu Zhao looked at Lu Ziping and others, and spoke with an incredibly calm expression. You thieves, don't you think you can break through my king's fortress? Lu Ziping looked at Zhu Zhao with a gloomy expression and cursed angrily. Crossbowmen, prepare to shoot in unison. Subsequently, Lu Ziping directly summoned his family soldiers and servants to climb onto the walls of the fortress. A pair of Han crossbows were held in their hands, and at this point, they had already been strung. Pulling the trigger would enable them to shoot crossbow arrows. Sure enough, there must be bows and crossbows in the fortresses of your aristocratic families. But with 3,000 or 4,000 crossbows, it's still beyond my imagination. Zhu Zhao looked at these bows and crossbows not only without fear, but also with a hint of excitement in his eyes. Bows, crossbows, armor, and other items are prohibited items, and those who hide them will be punished according to the crime of rebellion. But now in front of Zhu Zhao, there are 3,000 pairs of bows and crossbows aimed at Taihao Ruishi. But these bows and crossbows will eventually be their own. Quickly retreat, you are just bandits. How dare you attack our fortress? Lu Ziping snorted coldly, thinking that Zhu Zhao was being intimidated by the crossbow, and a hint of pride also appeared in his expression. The head of the yellow turban moth thief, Zhang Jiao, dare not attack the fortress of the aristocratic family. You are just a small Qushuai, why don't you quickly retreat? Tao Qiuhong also scolded with a look of dissatisfaction in his eyes. After seeing the Taihao Ruishi trained by Zhu Zhao, the literati from Pingyuan County, they temporarily gathered their provisions, supplies, armor, and weapons inside Lu Ziping's fortress. Gather all the bows, crossbows, and armor, as well as their family soldiers and servants, to resist Zhu Zhao. They are really afraid. With a force of 50,000 troops that are strictly prohibited, if they fight on their own, there is a real risk of collapse. And now, they have 5,000 soldiers, 3,000 crossbowmen, and more than 1,000 of them are armored. So, it's just a moth thief wielding a hoe for 50,000, why should they be afraid of it? Yellow scarf. But Zhu Zhao shook his head and said calmly. I am Taihao, the Qing Emperor, the god of the East, not a yellow scarf thief. What Qingdi, Taihao, is just some gimmick. Ni Heng spoke up and stared at Zhu Zhaolong, snorting. A mud-legged person with no background, just a group of refugees and bandits who are starving to death. If you don't want to die under the strong crossbow, quickly retreat. Zhu Zhao shrugged his shoulders and then said to Li Hong, lead the Taihao elite to attack the fortress. Only. Li Hong and Cui Xiao nodded and rode straight towards the distance. Not long after, orderly military formations stepped forward one by one. The big shield is in front of me, holding a strong white giant shield in my hand. In the rear, standard weapons are held in the hands of gun holders, hammer shield soldiers, and knife shield soldiers. Especially the combination of white hardwood and rattan armor, although it only looks like wood. But Lu Ziping, Hua Xian, and others felt an inexplicable tremble. At this moment, 50,000 Taihao Ruishi wearing white scale vine armor and equipped with standard weapons make them feel like they have seen the king's teacher of the Warring States period. The Qin Iron Eagle Elite. Zhao Ming killed the mouse, and there is no name in the world. Before me, these aristocratic families and noble families were like giant rats. I will punish them and distribute all their wealth to the people of the world. Return all their arable land to the people, and teach the sages that only they can learn to the people of the world. The sky is dead, the blue sky should stand. 50,000 Taihao Ruishi stood in front of the fortress, and Zhu Zhao rode on his warhorse, drinking loudly in front of the three armies. The sky is dead, the blue sky should stand. The sky is dead, the blue sky should stand. The sky is dead, the blue sky should stand. Upon hearing Zhu Zhao's words, Taihao Ruishi's eyes were filled with enthusiasm. The roars of anger echoed one after another, giving the impression that it was not like a roar, but rather an iron-blooded will. The Duanshou, enter. Zhu Zhao raised the corner of his mouth and then waved the command flag directly. 30 elite personal guards arranged as messenger soldiers beside them immediately rode their horses and ordered them to run, starting to give orders to 50,000 Taihao Ruishi. Drink. 20,000 big shields held strong white giant shields and advanced, step by step, like slowly advancing chariots. Shoot. Lu Ziping's heart twitched and he immediately ordered the crossbowmen to shoot arrows. Bang. Bang bang bang. Arrows were thrown up one by one, and soon they rained down on the strong white shield of the great shield hand. However, these arrows cannot break through the defense of the strong white shield, and even leave no trace on it. Shoot. Lu Zigan, Tao Qiuhong and others looked at this scene with disbelief, and then looked at the crossbow in fear, roaring and giving another order. But the result is clearly unchanged. Can a bow and crossbow break open a defense against the white sturdy wood that is extremely difficult to penetrate even with an iron hammer hitting a nail? The big shield hand slowly advanced like this and soon arrived in front of the fortress. Decay. Zhu Zhao's eyes fixed on the heavy gate of the fortress, and the power of Ju Mang was once again activated. The door bolt inside the city gate instantly turned into rotten wood in the sight of the soldiers inside the city at a speed visible to the naked eye. Bang! The 5 shield bearers stepped forward and directly smashed open the huge city gate. Army, charge! Zhu Zhao looked at the open city gate and waved the command flag, ordering that the white spearmen and spearmen could start charging. Kill! The spearmen and spearmen let out a loud roar, and without any fear in their eyes, they directly charged with their sturdy white guns. Form a formation. Lu Zigan and others stood on the pavilion, their eyes roaring in fear, causing the elite family soldiers with 1,000 scales of armor below to form in formation to resist. Pushi. Bang. But at the moment of the collision between the two armies, the spears and spears of the spear soldiers ignored the elite family soldiers of the fish scale armor. The gun barrel made of white sturdy wood is incredibly hard, wrapped in a remade, and the incredibly sharp spearhead directly tears open the fish scale armor. A series of sturdy white guns pierced directly through the chest of the elite soldiers, and the white gun barrel also went in white and out red. 1,000 armored elite soldiers were all picked and killed by the long spearmen of Taihao Ruishi at the moment of collision. Blade and shield soldiers, hammer and shield soldiers, attack. The elite who defended the city gate position were killed, and then there was a street battle against the unarmed family soldiers. In this way, the blade shield and hammer shield can be unilaterally crushed. As the signal of the messenger's flag was conveyed, the sword-shield soldiers and hammer-shield soldiers rushed directly into the fortress. The great shield hand also put down the sturdy white giant shield and replaced it all with two single-handed hammers to begin the one-sided slaughter. Long spearmen are not suitable for street warfare, are crossbowmen good at it? When facing the protection of the white-scaled vine armor, only the strong crossbow has some killing power. But these people were all targeted by short shield soldiers with a round shield and a ring-head knife or short-handled hammer. With 5,000 soldiers stationed, the fortress, which was as solid as gold and steel, was attacked fiercely by Taihao Ruishi in just half an hour. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Massive harvest, countless money, grain and grass. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How could this be? Is this really a moth thief? Lu Zigan stood on the pavilion, looking at Taihao Ruishi, who was slaughtering their soldiers on one side, and spoke in a frightened voice. Is Zhu Zhao really a thief? And Huangjian spoke even more unbelievably. Within a short period of 10 days after conquering the plain city, Zhu Zhao shaped the reputation of the Qing Emperor for himself with the overnight maturation of seeds. Later on, he trained a fierce warrior and was banned for 7 days. Now, he has almost achieved a 100% success rate. This is not something that a thief Cao can do, but more like the true Qing Emperor. Zhu Zhao can't let it exist anymore. Meanwhile, Wang Lai beside him looked at the humanists such as Huangjian and Lu Zigan with utmost seriousness. It is certainly important for your majesty to lift the party's shackles. But if we really let Zhu Zhao merge with the main yellow turban thief, it is easy to replace Zhang Jiao with his incredible deception. At that time, if the yellow turban moth thieves were all dressed in wooden armor like these 50,000 people, they would still be in danger of overthrowing the Han dynasty. People from Pingyuan aristocratic families such as Lu Zigan, Tao Qiuhong, and Huangjian all had a frozen expression. Evacuate by secret passage and go to Yanzhou to invite Huangfu Song to send troops to the prophet Qingzhou. Finally, Huangjian spoke in a deep voice, with fear in her heart, saying, "This Zhu Zhao is too eerie, along with these wooden armor and shields. How could it be possible that even fish scales and armor are inferior? Let's go." Lu Zigan and others looked at the few remaining family soldiers, their faces pale, and quickly headed towards the secret passage inside the fortress. The cunning rabbits in the 3 caves naturally have a way out when they establish a fortress. Zhu Zhao watched as Lu Zigan and others disappeared, but did not let Taihao Ruishi pursue them. These people must be equipped with war horses, and the likelihood of catching up is not high. And since these people cannot be used for themselves, there is no need to put in extra effort to manage them. In less than half an hour, Zhu Zhao walked into the fortress. All the rebellious family soldiers were killed, leaving only Gao Tanghua, Pingyuan Tao Qiu, and Lu's family members alive. After interrogating the place where they hid their food and money, they locked it up and let out rumors. These relatives each have 10 gold coins, let those aristocratic families from the plain bring money to redeem them. Zhu Zhao did not kill anyone, and he strictly ordered all the superhumans not to bully women. Otherwise, Zhu Zhao would personally behead her and she would not be reincarnated after death. Taihao Ruishi all believed that Zhu Zhao was the god of the East, so naturally they did not want to be killed by the gods themselves. So after breaking through the fortress, the military discipline of Taihao Ruishi was even better than that of the official army. It's no use taking these people, and Zhu Zhao will soon give up the plain to go to Beihai and Donglai. At that time, the Pingyuan aristocratic family can always gather money to redeem people. Your Highness, there are a total of 1,000 Han crossbows and 3,000 pairs of strong bows in the fortress. 1,000 pairs of fish scale armor, and 2,000 pairs of other leather armor, iron armor, etc. In the central courtyard of Zhu Zhao's solitary fortress, Li Hong quickly came to report on the gains from cleaning the battlefield. 1,000 strong crossbows, 3,000 strong bows. Zhu Zhao raised the corner of his mouth and then looked at Li Hong, saying, Li Hong, when we occupy the eastern counties of Qingzhou, can we equip all 50,000 Taihao Ruishi people with bows and crossbows? If aristocratic families in Jinan, Luban, and other places also had this private possession of bows, crossbows, and armor, they would definitely be able to. Li Hong answered excitedly. In ancient times, armies with and without crossbowmen were two types of armies, with vastly different combat capabilities. If Zhu Zhao could equip all 50,000 Taihao elite with bows and crossbows, his combat power would definitely be stronger. For example, the Xuanjia army of the Tang dynasty was equipped with bows and arrows, which was why their combat effectiveness overwhelmed all neighboring countries of the entire era. There is a saying about ancient armies. That means archers are equivalent to elite soldiers. Linzi, the capital of the state of Qi, is the capital of Qingzhou. The arsenal and aristocrats there should allow us to obtain enough bows, crossbows, and iron weapons. Zhu Zhao nodded and then looked at Cui Xiaodao who had just arrived. How much is there in terms of grain, grass, supplies, iron tools, cattle and sheep, etc.? Lord Qingdi, we have become rich. We have truly become rich. Cui Xiao instantly spoke with immense excitement, his face turning red, and he spoke at an extremely fast pace. Gold, silver, treasures, books, bamboo slips, and so on are not counted. It seems that the Pingyuan aristocratic family has moved all their belongings over. And there's food and grass, a whopping 100,000 stones. 100,000 stones, enough for Taihao Ruishi to not worry about eating for a year. There are also plowing cows, a total of 50,000 heads. On weekdays, we cultivate one ox and rotate it throughout the village, but these aristocratic families have a whopping 50,000 heads, very good. Zhu Zhao raised his lips, and if all 50,000 plowing cows were brought to his future territory, how much labor force could be liberated for the people? There aren't many sheep, they are all used for food, and these aristocratic families haven't raised them. Cui Xiao finally said, which was quite regrettable. They suddenly ate meat, and this time the sheep did not harvest much, probably not enough to eat for many days. Not afraid, we now have the wealth of the Pingyuan aristocratic family, which can be purchased from the Hu ethnic groups such as Xianbei, Wuhuan, and southern Xiongnu. When we occupy counties such as Beihai, we happen to need to purchase war horses, a lot of money, a lot. Cui Xiao doesn't know the specific number, but the boxes of 5 baht coins and gold are enough to tell them that this is a terrifying wealth. The wealth of many aristocratic families in Pingyuan County is all within this fortress. If it were ordinary yellow turban thieves, they wouldn't be able to break through this fortress. After all, the yellow turban thieves with 0 armor rate face 3,000 bows and crossbows, and their attack is fatal. When Zhu Zhao conquered Pingyuan City, he piled it up with human life, didn't he? In the shortest possible time, melt all iron tools except agricultural tools into a ring-head knife. Then let the families of Taiharuishi and the people of Pingyuan City catch more birds and buy them with food or 5 baht money. After the ring-head knife is completed, all the iron tools are melted and cast into components for making strong crossbows and bows. When Zhu Zhao was a up-host in his previous life, he watched many videos restoring ancient bows and crossbows. Zhu Zhao could easily dismantle a pair of Han crossbows and improve them based on the components of later crossbows. After melting and casting metal parts, whether it was the best crossbow-making wood such as Zhimu, Sangmu, Jujube wood, or Tongli wood, Zhu Zhao could easily make the crossbow body with the power of Ju Mang. That is to say, the skill of the ancient strong crossbow black technology divine arm crossbow has been lost, otherwise Zhu Zhao could have made the divine arm crossbow in the late Eastern Han dynasty. At that time, with a range advantage of nearly 100 steps, Zhu Zhao was able to stand on the dominant side in both infantry and cavalry battles. And arrows are even simpler. Using white solid wood to make sharp arrows and shafts, Zhu Zhao only needs enough arrow feathers to achieve arrow freedom. Lord Qingdi, are we really heading east instead of looking for Zhangjiao? After counting the astonishing number of spoils, Li Hong looked at Zhu Zhao and asked. After all, if we merge with the hundreds of thousands of Yellow Turban army in Jizhou, we will have a better chance of resisting the Han government army, right? The Taiping Road is a true bandit, and now they claim to be 1 million people, but 90% of them are plundered civilians. Every time there is a battle, they drive the people ahead, and this kind of person will inevitably disappear. Zhu Zhao shook his head and then looked at Li Hong and Cui Xiao, chuckling lightly. And I am the Qing Emperor of the East, and in the East, there will also be protection from the blue sky. We can have a bountiful harvest year after year, win every battle, and live and work in peace and contentment there. Zhang Jiao's Yellow Turban army is not a good choice. Yellow Turban bandits from any state can survive, but not from Jizhou. And Jizhou is surrounded by enemies on all sides. Are you going to seek death? In the west of Shandong Peninsula, there is Mount Taishan Mountain as the barrier, and in the east, there is an endless sea. Only by guarding the barrier, can we achieve separatism. Moreover, its cultivated land and abundant resources such as iron and salt mines are sufficient to support its extensive grain accumulation and high construction walls. Just wait for Liu Yan to propose the abolition of history in animal husbandry, Dongzhua's entry into Luo to erode the last trace of authority of the Han dynasty, and the feudal lords to begin their separatist rule. Zhu Zhao could quickly conquer the great Han commandery with a thunderous force, unify China, and establish a new great unified dynasty. Readers, please vote for your review and flowers. This is really important for Yunchang. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. The arrival of Huangfu song. Zhu Zhaojie's Warhorse sets out. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Wang Yanfang, Lu Zigan and Hua Ziyu are coming. Huangfu Song, who led some of the Northern Army's 5 schools and the 3 River Cavaliers, has begun to continuously defeat Yanzhou Huangjin. Upon hearing Wang Lai and others come, a surprised expression also appeared in Huangfu Song's eyes. But Huangfu Song quickly invited everyone into the Shuai tent, and when he saw Wang Lai and others, he was even more surprised and asked. Do you all look like you've met the Yellow Turban thief? General Huangfu, we have something important to inform you about. As a relative of the Han family, Lu Zigan is also the first to speak up at this moment. What's up? Huangfu Song raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. Among the Yellow Turban thieves in Qingzhou, there is a person named Zhu Zhao who is quite talented and may be a major threat to the Han dynasty. Please General Huangfu immediately lead the army to Pingyuan County and execute him. Lu Zigan spoke again, his eyes filled with seriousness. It's just a moth thief. If it weren't for them kidnapping the people, it would be just a disease of mustard and moss. The Qingzhou yellow scarf is also not a concern. Huangfu Song's expression was quite calm and confident, and in fact, it was the same. Since the end of April, there have been no more defeats in the 3 front battles between Lu Ji, Huangfu Song, and Zhu Shi. And the Yellow Turban thief has gradually retreated, showing signs of decline. General Huangfu, Zhu Zhaoding cannot be underestimated. On the side, Wang Lai, who had already reached the level of a great scholar in the world, spoke up and looked at Huangfu Song, saying. Zhu Zhao rose up from the Gaotang dynasty and carried 50 to 60,000 moth thieves. After conquering Pingyuan city, he used the overnight ripening of grain to create a momentum for himself as the Qing Emperor, the god of the East, and deceived the people because he was a god. And then he stayed on the plain to start training. It can be ordered and banned within 7 days, and there is already a strong military trend. And using unknown wood and rattan to make armor and shields, the defensive nature is even comparable to fish-scale armor. And now everyone is wearing armor for the 50,000 forbidden moth thieves. Although it is a wooden armor, it is comparable to fish-scale armor. If the leader of the moth thief allows him to continue to grow, he can join forces with the moth thief Qushuai in the areas of Beihai and Luban. At that time, there may be 100,000 or even tens of thousands of troops under armor, and the land of Qingzhou may not be recaptured. Wooden armor, comparable to fish-scale armor. Huangfu Song's eyebrows furrowed and he looked at Wang Lai and others with a somewhat skeptical expression. He suspected that these stories were fabricated by the plain aristocrats such as Hua Xian and Tao Qiuhong in order to quickly pacify the plain. And the purpose is to send troops to the plain. We are not fabricating this matter. Hua Xian also spoke up and looked at Huangfu Song, saying, "The fortresses on the plain have already been breached, and the moth thieves of Zhu Zhao's tribe are not afraid of strong crossbows and bows and arrows. It only took half a quarter of an hour to break through the fortress, we can't underestimate it." Really this time, Huangfu Song's heart was a bit convinced. After all, the most famous scholars from the plain are all here at this moment. "General, hurry up and go." Lu Zigan, Tao Qiuhong, and others bowed to Huangfu Song with a strong warning in their tone. This matter is not urgent. Now the yellow turban bandits in Dongjun will be defeated. After defeating these moth bandits, they will enter Jibei Kingdom and carry their backs to the plain without delay. Huangfu Song remained silent for a moment, but in the end, he shook his head and said in a deep voice, "Even if Zhu Zhao is talented, he is just a moth thief. What can he understand about leading troops in battle? Perhaps I know some tricks, but ultimately it's not a great way. At most 1 month, I will be able to travel to the plain. The top priority in cracking down on the yellow turban thieves is to keep them away from the Hunan governor, so the yellow turban in Yanzhou is the primary task. If your majesty knew that Zhu Zhaoyuan was in Qingzhou, he would definitely not be pleased." This. Lu Zigan and others glanced at each other, but finally nodded, with a look of helplessness rising in their eyes. Huangfu Song's task is to quell the yellow turban thieves, but it is also a matter of priority. Qingzhou and Yizhou, who are far away from Luoyang, are obviously not as important as the yellow turban thieves. Unlike the time estimated by Huangfu Song, Zhu Zhao had no attachment to the plain. After breaking through the Shizu fortress on the plain, he began to melt metal and forge weapons at the fastest speed. "Lord Qingdi, all the weapons of Taihao Ruishi have been replaced with Huan Shou Dao. The number of big shield soldiers has also been reduced from 20,000 to 5,000, and everyone else has been changed to blade and shield soldiers." 10 days after breaking through the fortress, Li Hong came to report to Zhu Zhao with a slightly haggard expression. So, he straightened it out and then posted a notice to the village. "If there are people willing to leave with us and go to Beihai and Donglai, I promise to allocate 3 acres of arable land to each of them when they arrive. Even teenagers under 5 feet in length and newborns can each receive 1 acre of arable land." Zhu Zhao spoke up and asked Li Hong to arrange one of his most important tasks at present. In the era of warlord rule in the future, population will definitely be the most important resource. Moreover, those who seek rebellion are most likely to absorb population, and the means of consolidating combat effectiveness is to allocate the cultivated land of aristocratic landlords to the people. Equal distribution of land was the simplest and most effective way to rebel and rally the army in any dynasty with severe land consolidation. And Zhu Zhao wanted to use this method to attract population. Qingzhou is not short of population, but due to the abundance of feudal states, the situation of land consolidation is particularly severe. That's why there will be 1 million yellow scarves in Qingzhou 10 years later, and 300,000 young and strong people. With so many people unable to survive, it is evident how severe the land consolidation within the feudal lords was. And Zhu Zhao's goal is this group of people, whether it is to cultivate farmland or build an army, these people are the highest quality population. Understood. Li Hong nodded and then turned around to arrange. Now they have sufficient food and grass, and no matter how many people they recruit, they do not lack food. And with the protection of Emperor Qing of Zhu Zhao, they don't have to worry about not having enough to eat. It is now the end of April, and at the latest, by the end of May, the eastern counties of Qingzhou will be captured, and then land reclamation will begin. Zhu Zhao looked at the map of the Great Han and pondered which areas he should occupy in the future that were most suitable for separatist rule. Later, Zhu Zhao suddenly saw a county town in Jibei Kingdom north of the Yellow River. To the north of the Yellow River in Qiping County, there is a horse farm established by the Han dynasty, which produces many good horses. After seeing the name Qiping, Zhu Zhao's eyes suddenly lit up. Although his Taihao Ruishi couldn't even shoot arrows, let alone ride horses. But having a warhorse and being able to build cavalry are two different things. Before heading to counties such as Beihai, let's first gather some more horses. Thinking of it, Zhu Zhao took action and left Li Hong and 10,000 Taiharuishi stationed in Pingyuan City, then directly sent 40,000 Taiharuishi south. Your Highness, aren't we heading to Donglai and Beihai? Why did we make a special detour to come to Jibei Kingdom? Cui Xiao didn't know Zhu Zhao's thoughts, and at this moment he was also questioning. To the south of Boping County and to the north of Qiping County, there is a horse farm of the Great Han Dynasty, which produces many good horses. In the future, we will definitely form cavalry. Why not rob a batch of war horses before heading to the North Sea? There will always be more than 10,000 horses. Zhu Zhao chuckled lightly and then ordered with a loud shout. The whole army is accelerating and robbing the horses in this horse field. Perhaps you will be a member of the cavalry in the future. Charge, charge. Taihao Ruishi didn't know why, but he still quickened his pace and shouted excitedly. It didn't take too long to capture the horse farm here. When the county magistrate of Qinghe Kingdom saw 40,000 Taiharuishi wielding swords and shields, all armored, he was so scared that he closed the city gate tightly and turned into a turtle, afraid to show his head. There were not many guards on the horse farm, and Zhu Zhao and Taihao Ruishi quickly occupied the horse farm. Whispering rhythm. Horses were galloping on the grassland, and Zhu Zhao couldn't help but grin as he looked at the number of registered horses. Unexpectedly, a big gift package was opened and the harvest exploded. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. 20,000 Warhorses. Huangfu Song regarded Zhu Zhao as. You are listening at novel full.audio. 20,000 adult warhorses. That's a whopping 20,000. Ha ha ha. This time, even with the quality honed by Zhu Zhao during this period, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. Although this era was not during the later Sui and Tang dynasties, war horses were scarce in the Central Plains. It is even less likely that during the Song and Ming dynasties, there was a lack of warhorses due to restrictions on the sale of warhorses by northern nomadic tribes. But if he could obtain 20,000 warhorses at this time, Zhu Zhao could directly form 20,000 long spearmen into cavalry. Charging with a strong white gun in hand, the killing power is definitely stronger than that of the cavalry of the northern army in Luoyang. Lord Qingdi, there is a Han army appearing from the direction of the Yellow River. And just as Zhu Zhao sent people to gather the warhorses and prepare to withdraw, the messenger and scout's personal guard rushed back with a solemn expression. Luoyang dispatched the 5th colonel of the northern army to quell the rebellion. Zhu Zhaomei frowned and asked with a serious expression. The big flag is the flag of Emperor Han, while the handsome flag is written Huangfu. The scout spoke up and recognized Huangfu among the surnames that Zhu Zhao had specially taught them these days. And other names are Lu Ji, Zhu Jun, Fu Xie, and Guodian. These people are all those who made contributions in quelling the Yellow Turban Rebellion. Huangfu Song. Shouldn't he be pacifying Yanzhou? Huangjin Qushuai was also extremely puzzled in his heart. Bu Ji in the Yanzhou yellow turban was not defeated so quickly by Huangfu Song, was he? If Huangfu Song doesn't go to pacify Yanzhou and crosses the Yellow River to come, can he go directly to Jizhou? But Lu Ji almost crushed Zhang Jiao to one side, and under the constant pressure, Zhang Jiao could only be constantly eroded when facing the fifth colonel of the Northern Army. Shouldn't Huangfu Song appear here? Lord Qingdi, are you ready for war? Cui Xiao showed no signs of fear, holding the ring-headed sword and Yuan Dun in his hand, eager to try. Accelerate the withdrawal and return to the plain first. Zhu Zhao shook his head and then quickly marched north with Taihao Ruishi and 20,000 warhorses. Fighting on the plain at this moment, the cavalry of Huangfu Song's Northern Army 5th Colonel and Sanhan Knights can simply play with Taihao Ruishi as a toy. Taihao Ruishi has no cavalry, and his bows and arrows have not been trained yet. He has no fighting power against cavalry at all. When Huangfu Song led his army to the horse farm in Chipping County, he saw the bodies of the Han army guards and the horse farm without any war horses. His eyes immediately became solemn. A moth thief came to plunder the war horses. Beside Huangfu Song, Wang Lai frowned and spoke. Perhaps the one among these moth thieves who has accumulated such strength and intelligence is Zhu Zhao from the plain. Perhaps it's the Zhang Jiao brothers from Jizhou. Huangfu Song frowned and spoke, then summoned the scout and said in a deep voice. Explore the north and see where these moth thieves come from. Only. The scout took orders and then dispersed, galloping north to investigate. Pushi. Before the scouts who were heading towards Boping could find their tracks, Zhu Zhao, who was flapping his wings, descended from the sky. A long spear made of white sturdy wood rushed out without giving these scouts any time to react, and they were pinned to death on the ground. All the scouts are dead. By this calculation, Huangfu Song will send cavalry to pursue them, and time is enough for Taihao Ruishi to capture Boping County and defend the city. Zhu Zhao rose up again and swept towards the direction where he was tied to his warhorse, pondering in his heart how to defeat Huangfu Song. Huangfu Song, Lu Ji, and Zhu Ju, the three outstanding figures of the late Han dynasty, were a hurdle that Zhu Zhao could not overcome. Thinking about various strategies in his mind, famous battles in history passed by one, and Zhu Zhao searched for the one that was suitable for him to defeat Huangfu Song. And Huangfu Song led a large army to station at the horse farm, waiting for 2/4 of an hour before the first scout was released. General, it's not a moth thief coming from Yangping County. Okay. Huangfu Song nodded, not coming in this direction, so Zhang Liang could be ruled out. General, it's not a moth thief in the direction of Liaocheng. General, it's not from the direction of Leping County. General, it's not the Yanzhou moth thief from Jibei County. A scout returned, but the results were all negative. And the scouts who have not returned have been heading towards the plains and Boping to investigate. General Huangfu, there's no need to wait any longer. This scout must have been killed by Zhu Zhao. Hua Xian spoke with an extremely excited voice, saying. Zhu Zhao, this thief, made wooden armor and forged weapons. Now he is also plundering war horses, which shows that his plan is very big and deep. Such bandits must be eliminated, otherwise it will be a great disaster. A moth thief, who didn't want to plunder food, grass, and treasures in Ko County, came to plunder war horses. Under Huangfu Song's command, Cao Cao had already arrived as a cavalry captain, his expression filled with surprise. This Zhu Zhao, with a clear mind, far surpasses the three brothers of Zhang Jiao. He is not an ordinary person. Further exploration, find the retreat direction of this moth thief, and we will definitely eliminate him. Huangfu Song also spoke with an extremely serious expression and once again dispatched scouts to the direction of Boping and Pingyuan. General Huangfu, do you know how this bandit leader Zhu Zhao bewitched the people? Tao Chilhong spoke with a serious expression on his face, saying. The journey of the Great Road, the world is for the public, it is clear that the emperor will punish the mice, and the world has no reputation. Putting the people first and achieving universal harmony in the world, this Zhu Zhao poses a greater threat than the three brothers Zhangjiao. His goal is to exterminate the aristocrats and distribute all their arable land to the people. How many people can such a person bewitch? His slogan of rebellion actually targets the gentry, not your majesty. Cao Cao, standing beside him, couldn't help but exclaim in surprise and looked at Tao Qiuhong in disbelief. This is Cavalry Captain Cao Cao. Huangfu Song introduced himself and then frowned at Cao Cao, asking, Mengde, what is the difference between these two? This. Cao Cao's tone suddenly paused, unsure of what to say. But it was precisely because of Cao Cao's hesitation that Huangfu Song was stunned for a moment before he understood. This thief is truly a great calamity. Huangfu Song's expression suddenly became solemn. The biggest factor behind the peasant uprising in the Great Han Dynasty was undoubtedly the sale of official positions and titles by Emperor Ling of Han, as well as the exploitation of the people by the relatives of eunuchs. But the deepest reason is that 1% of the population of aristocratic families occupied 90% of the farmland of the Han Dynasty. The population of the Eastern Han Dynasty had already reached a point where it could not be accommodated. Thus, the historical cycle of rebellions leading to wars and population reduction began again. If Zhu Zhao really released all the cultivated land of the aristocratic families, the people of the Han Dynasty would not be unable to survive. And such means will inevitably be able to recruit more refugees and civilians than Zhang Jiao and others. And these people will have a very clear idea. That is to rebel with Zhu Zhao and obtain arable land. And in ancient times, this was definitely the simplest and most effective way to bribe the heart of Baixin. So, the moth thieves under Zhu Zhao's command will have higher loyalty and stronger combat effectiveness. Because they know they are fighting to defend their farmland. Although the Taiping Road has millions of people, it is only a disease of mustard and moss. Although Zhu Zhao only has 50,000 moth thieves, he is a great threat to the Han Dynasty and the world. Huangfu Song spoke up, then looked at the returning scout and asked in a deep voice, but the moth thieves in the plain direction. General, it is the moth thief in the plain direction who is currently heading towards Boping. The scout nodded. The whole army is advancing, the target is Boping County. Huangfu Song no longer hesitated at all and directly abandoned the remnants of Yanzhou Huangjin, targeting Zhu Zhao. Because Huangfu Song himself came from the Huangfu clan of Liangzhou. So, the goal is to exterminate Zhu Zhao from the aristocratic family, he must die. At this moment, Zhu Zhao has once again decayed the city gate bolt of Boping County with the power of Ju Mang, leading Taihao Ruishi into Boping County. Defend the city, no matter what, we cannot let Huangfu Song attack the city. Zhu Zhao looked at Cui Xiao and gave a warning, then rode directly north of Boping County. Breaking through the army of Huangfu Song, Zhu Zhao is going to start preparing now. Today's update has started. Looking for another wave of flowers and evaluation tickets, this is really important for me, second brother. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.